As much as I have a bias for Brandon Routh's Superman, I can't honestly give this game a score higher than a 6.5 out of 10. Which honestly sucks because there's quite a bit I like about this game, despite its many flaws. The first obvious thing I love is the flying. The developers did an excellent job making sure you felt powerful and faster than a speeding bullet. I love how you can break the sound barrier, and if you do it enough times, the sound design changes. I also love how you can do a power launch into the air. The heat vision is also far more powerful in the game than it is in the movie. But all of this just makes it clear that the problem with the game isn't the Superman gameplay, but pretty much everything else. The story, where to begin. It more or less follows the plot of the movie, but definitely skips out on some stuff and adds elements not seen in the film. Instead of opening the game with the meteorites falling on Metropolis, the remake instead opens with you exploring space, searching for the remains of Krypton. But since you don't find anything, you set a course back to Earth. But on your way there, you're captured by Mongol's spaceship and enter Warworld. Once he's defeated, you return to Earth, crashing down on the Kent farm. Lex is up to no good, as he has invaded the fortress and stole the crystals, which he then tests underwater, which causes mayhem in Metropolis. Clark sees that the plane Lois is in has taken damage, so he goes to the rescue. This remake allows you to rescue the airplane just like in the film. I would make it so that you're prioritizing minimizing damage to the airplane and trying to fly down as soon as possible before it plummets to the ground. The next mission is where there's a man shooting officers with a machine gun, and you must stop him in time before the bullets reach them. But once he's taken care of, the night isn't over for Superman yet, as Kitty is driving an out-of-control car. You catch it in time before she hurts people, place the car down, and then take her to a hospital. You continue to help around the world as much as you can. Eventually you fly to the fortress and discover that the crystals have been stolen, so you fly out of there and back to Metropolis. Lois decides to interview Lex, but ends up hostage in the boat. Lex then launches his missiles into the ocean, causing a citywide attack. Clark discovers that Lois hasn't come back, and flies out the elevator shaft. But as he's flying over the water, he sees the damage being done. Now the city is in chaos. This mission is on a timer, and you must prevent as many people from getting hurt as possible. Soon enough, the sewers begin to blaze, causing the sewer caps to blast into the air. You have to blow away the fire with your frost breath before it reaches the workers behind you. In the distance, you hear the Daily Planet globe crumbling. It starts falling, so you fly at breakneck speed to catch it, flying through a building while doing so. You place it back on top of the building with heat vision. Before you leave, you hear Perry White has something to tell you. Lois has disappeared, so you fly to search for her, but you have to save that for later, as Metallo has shown up to take on Superman. Once he turns into his giant form, he eventually targets a building full of civilians. He shoots a missile that you must now divert before it reaches them. If you divert it before it explodes, you can immediately fly back into the action. If you divert it but it blows up in your face, you fall, but you can still recover in midair and finish the fight. Once Metallo is defeated, you now fly to rescue Lois. You rescue her and get her to safety, then fly off to the island. Once you land, everything is different. You now have a health bar. This slowly depletes over time the longer you stay. An element I liked about the game over the movie is that Superman went to space to investigate the remains of Krypton under the impression something remained, but all he found was a graveyard. It was a scheme orchestrated by Luthor in conjunction with so-called astronomers to get rid of Superman, in hopes that he wouldn't come back. You struggle to defend yourself against Luthor and his henchmen. Then a cutscene plays where you're underwater and get rescued. When you leave the plane that Lois flew in, it immediately switches to gameplay. So you fly up to the sky and recharge your powers. You then fly down with great speed as you ignite your heat vision to point towards the ground below. You then get to play a moment not seen in the movie, where you start to blaze the island from under the water with your heat vision, and slowly lift it from under the water. This section would test your limits and patience, seeing as you're actively fighting to stay alive while lifting an island that's killing you. You then successfully throw it into space, but slowly descend back to Earth. Then the game plays cutscenes that closely follow the movie's ending. In this remake, the ability to pick up moving vehicles and throw them is completely eliminated, as this isn't in character. I would change the animation of the regular launch into the air to match the movie more, where he doesn't fly upwards too fast, doesn't crouch much, and uses his fists instead of his palms. For the power launch animation, I would change it so that when he finally boosts up, he uses his fists instead of his hands pointing upwards. I would have an animation where you slowly descend to the ground with your arms open. There would also be a powerful descension animation where he flies down at great speed and crashes down hard on the ground. The animation where the water disperses beneath you as you fly over it is very much still present like in the original game, but now your hair blows in the wind because of it. The remake would change up the structure of missions so that they're not repetitive, but are instead more engaging and memorable. As Superman, you won't be able to purposefully damage the city or harm the civilians, but once you unlock Bizarro, things will be the complete opposite. Combat is fine-tuned to fix any possible jank, camera issues, or damage sponge enemies. After completing the main story, you unlock New Game Plus and have the ability to mission select. There wouldn't be more playable sections other than space, the Fortress of Solitude, and the Kent Farm, which you can explore freely. You now have the option of using a photo mode similar to that of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and there is a mode that looks like something a civilian would capture where Superman is flying far away and gets shot on camera. There would be a few flying poses to select in the photo mode. As for the suits I would like to have added, it'd be obvious to add the movie suit, the Kryptonian pod suit, and the CW Crisis on Infinite Earth's Kingdom Come suit. I'd bring in the Christopher Reeve suit, both the classic one and the evil Superman suit from Superman 3, the Fleischer suit, and the Batman 2004 series suit. For the CW Brandon Routh Superman suits, you get an exclusive heat vision animation that is specific to how it looks like in the crossover episodes. The environment sees a big change in the remake. Metropolis would be remade entirely to be more accurate, so buildings like the Daily Planet won't be inaccurate, and you'll be more immersed in the specific iteration of the Superman mythos. But the map size is still gigantic, and the map won't be disconnected from the rest of the world like in the original, to where you could only enter via boats and helicopters. Obviously, there would be the option to change the time of day and weather after completing the main campaign. There would be day, cloudy, afternoon, and nighttime. These would all be a replica of how they appeared on screen. The audio design could use a pretty big overhaul, especially in regards to the flying sounds, as the cape flapping would get a bit loud sometimes and annoying. So when you fly slowly, the cape follows your trail softly, like in the film. And when you fly at breakneck speed, you perform sonic booms. The punches would be remade as well. The city will no longer sound practically almost empty, but now you can hear massive amounts of crowds and vehicles when you pass by. I know that this movie and its game are far from being anyone's favorite piece of Superman media. It isn't mine, but I believe with these changes and additions, we will have a solid Superman game that people can play and enjoy. Since it's based on the movie, it obviously wouldn't be perfect, but it would certainly be an upgrade to what it used to be. Thank you everyone for watching, and take care.